Didn't even put them on. Ain't nothing set in stone on Egyptian cotton. Life can be smooth as Egyptian cotton. Life should be as cool as Egyptian cotton. I can seem to lose on Egyptian cotton. Fall into the grooves of Egyptian cotton. It's getting harder not to sleep in when every day is the first day of a well-deserved weekend. I hold the sun in my blind so it won't peek in. Then roll over on the damsel down for freaking. Room service replenishing and you need it. She opened the door and she made it decent. Ass out, I dig her like who gon' stop us now? I might not see her again, let's go another round. That's how it is when you come and go. That's how it is when we come and go. That phrase never meant so much to me before. Now as it stands, it's the only motto that I know. They didn't get money, but we do that. Private next, first class, I've been through that. Who that? Trying to sum up my success. Hey y'all, how y'all doing? Come on in, come on in. Hey y'all, how y'all doing? Yes, this is Crit, Big Daddy Crit is what I like to call him. He's my baby daddy, y'all. Big Crit is my baby's daddy. I, didn't really know how to say that to y'all on the front end, but since, since the cat's out the bag now, Big Crit is my baby daddy. Like, it just is what it is. Like, so I do listen to him often, and I will be listening to him often on this channel because his mixtapes don't get me copyrighted. So how y'all doing? How y'all holding up? What's happening? And make sure you hit that like button on your way in. It helps prioritize my video in the algorithms, okay? Because we're trying to grow this channel. And we can't grow the channel if people don't know that the kid exists. So all I ask is, as you come in, do me a solid thumbs up the video, and then you can do whatever you want from there. You never heard of him? Well, listen, you're missing out, okay? He is one of the biggest unsung heroes musically of the South, okay? He's from Mississippi. He is one of the best lyricists, and I'm not even like being hyperbolic here. Big Crit to me is probably one of the best rappers and the best lyricists that the South has ever seen since Andre 3000. I would actually put him like very close, like on the same level. So, but he doesn't really get a lot of mainstream acknowledgement. But he's really good though. And he's a producer. So like, it's just something about an artist who knows how to produce and, actually like write and create their own music, because the sound is so like, it's so cohesive and smooth, and it's just like a masterpiece. So to get on track with today's agenda, as you can see in the title, I do want to talk about briefly today's events and then go into this grand conjunction, because I owe y'all a grand conjunction video in terms of the ways in which this grand conjunction with Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius, how that's going to play out through each of the houses. So you can go back and look at your house placements and look at where Aquarius is in your house. Now, even if you have or don't have any planets occupying that particular house, right, you can just get a feel for how the next few years are going to play out for you based on where transiting Saturn and Jupiter is going to be in your natal house. Okay, so thumbs up the video again, and we will get started in a few seconds. So what did y'all think about today? the whole situation with today. Twitter is wilding, yeah. I just remember being on, I think it was Facebook, and folks was like, you know how black folks do. If niggas don't do nothing else, we gonna meme y'all to death. So folks had memes on top of memes, and it was just like, what is y'all talking about? And next thing you know, Mountain Dew America, Mayonnaise America, upset, rioting. And at this point, I'm not really surprised. I do feel like, and if you can pivot back to my initial video, I think I included this on my the astrology of January 2020. I feel like there is this mission to try to get people to think the same way, or to try to imply and tell people or steer people in the direction in terms of like what they should think, which is a very big kind of Aquarian energy signature in and of itself, because Aquarius does deal with group thought. And that kind of bothers me. So I said that to say, like, even with this whole situation, everybody is not really that deep into politics. And I get that. Y'all know I do enjoy politics. I'm a whole Sagittarius. So I've been seeing this build up even amongst like people on the right and Republicans and everything for a while now. But I just wanted to talk about what kind of kicked it off, because there was something in particular, a transit in particular, that really just, I feel, pushed today into high gear. There was already a lot of tension because there is a really big divide that's happening on the right between your Trump Republicans, right? Mainly like the lower class, middle class. These are the Mountain Dew drinkers. These are the, rednecks and the outback alley, type of individuals, barefoot, right? And then the more establishment, well-to-do type of Republican, like the Mitch McConnells and the people who are like, and typically in a higher tax bracket, more affluent. They agree on social issues. So it's like, oh yeah, we don't care. We don't like niggas. We don't like gay people. We don't. But when it comes to economics and certain things, they really disagree. And because of this whole situation with Trump, and he swore up and down he lost the election, right? Or it was stolen from him anyway. He lost it, but he swore it was stolen from him. So you have the Trump branch of the party who kind of has latched onto him in terms of like a cult, like a personality cult. They're going to do whatever he wants them to do, which is creating like this big ass rift, because you got the other Republicans who are status quo, who are business as usual. They ain't got time to be bothered with that. They're like, okay, sir, he was an outsider anyway. You got to go. You and your people pack it up. And they're actually more enthusiastic about Joe Biden presidency, because Joe Biden actually has had a very lengthy track record of governing alongside and working and compromising with neocons, right? So essentially in the past, which is another reason why I was looking at you niggas weird when y'all was celebrating in the streets once he won. Like, okay, I said Obama, Trump is out. Okay, that's fine. But he's a moderate Republican. Joe Biden has always governed as a moderate Republican, the type of Republicans who will like smile in your face and then just say F you, like, those type of people. But that's neither here nor there. Okay. So in terms of today, okay, I really wanted to point it because the whole debacle with the, staking out in front of the Capitol Hill, that happened around 1:00 today. And, when I went back and I looked at the transits, it just so happened that transiting Mars, okay, was at the 29th degree of Aries today, Eastern Standard Time at 1 p.m. Now, mind you, now it is actually currently in Mars. Is in Taurus. Mars is in Taurus currently. And I will do a video on that. But I want to talk about the significance of Mars at the 29th degree of Aries, because I feel like that was one of one of the placements that really like triggered everything. So when we talk about Mars at the 29th degree of Aries, as you all may know, that number 29 is the crisis degree. And if today wasn't a national crisis, I don't know what I don't know what it is. Like I don't know what y'all define as a crisis, but it can breed lots of tension. It can breed lots of conflict and situations where people feel compelled to act. It's kind of like a do or die placement, right? Even if somebody has this in their own natal chart, right? Mars at the 29th degree of Aries is kind of like a do or die, fight, almost like a fight or flight kind of mode. Think about like an animal who feels pinned and trapped in a corner. And at that point, either they're going to, try to run away, or if they can't run, they're going to attack. And regardless as to the ideology, I'm not here to argue the ideology or how delusional these people are. That's a separate conversation. But in terms of like the energetic signature of it all, it could definitely support that Mars at the 29th degree of Aries. In terms of people are frustrated, there's a lot of inner tension that has been going on just throughout the country, no matter, what your party is, right? Left, right, Democrat, Republican. And it really brought all of these underlying tensions to a head. And it resulted in like an explosion. And that is also quintessential Mars 29th degree of Aries energy, explosions. It could also even deal with where people are driven by pure emotion, especially with that number 2 influence there, because the number 2 is governed by the moon. So, people who may even be driven purely off of, like knee-jerk emotional responses. And even if you look at those people storming through the Capitol Hill, there was no real rhyme, or I'm not going to say reason, because I think they had their own perceived reason in their minds, right? But I mean, this was not an organized effort by any means, right? People were kind of here, there, all over the place, and some man in a suit, and then they digging through drawers. It was crazy. It was literally like pandemonium. It was chaos. And save that word in your mind, because we'll get to the chaos component. But so there's that. It could also even deal with volatility. Quite literally like violence, right? And which there was to a large degree. I think even one person died throughout this whole mayhem. This could also even deal with overt acts of force. So even the whole idea of, okay, we're angry, we're going to take this, situation into our own hands and force the government or the people, in charge to do what we want them to do, is what I'm assuming their thought process was. But it's very much another manifestation of that Mars 29th degree of Aries, right? It could deal with just, and I'm talking about disproportionate acts of force that could just kind of be hard to really explain, right? Where it can leave a lot of people confused, like, okay, was that necessary, right? Knee-jerk reactions, once again, and even just like extreme impulsive behavior. Okay, things that weren't necessarily really thought through all the way. Now, it could also even deal with issues in regards to race, which I thought was very interesting, because even despite all of this, let's be real. A lot of Trump supporters, I ain't saying all Trump supporters are racist, but all racists are Trump supporters. So you can do what you want with that. Okay. And so, there is, and there has been this underlying racial tension that has been, we live in America. This is a racist country, but specifically Mars at that 29th degree of Aries, I feel like definitely brought a lot of those racial tensions to a head as well. Because even on the flip side of things, you have the rest of the world watching, including Black people, who have felt a certain way about what they saw in terms of, the privilege of it all, in terms of these people not being, slaughtered like dogs in the street like we probably would. So a lot of people had feelings about that. And I'm gonna be honest, a lot of people were in their feelings on both sides. So we're talking like leftists, we're talking about right-wing people, we're talking about black people, we're talking about white people. It was a lot of, once again, almost it's tribalistic, right? And a lot of this aggression, a lot of these acts of aggression is almost like a last ditched effort at self-preservation. And we also know that a lot of the vanillas, a lot of the saltines, I'm not going to call them vanillas because vanilla tastes good. They don't deserve vanilla. Saltines, a lot of the mayonnaises feel like they're losing grasp on their country, right? They're losing, they feel like their very security is being threatened, which is another sure way to activate that Aries at that 29th degree of Mars at the 29th degree of Aries. That's another sure way to activate that energy, right? When once again, people feel threatened, when they feel cornered. And an explosion, of course, can ensue from that. It could also even deal with people who have, or an energy where everyone's mind is kind of hyper fixated or focused on one thing, and they're not even entertaining other divergent points of view. And a lot of time it's led by their biases, even when it comes to like nationalism. Okay, this could deal with issues like within people, and a lot of the divide that people could feel, or the attachment people could feel towards like their country and being patriotic, which is something else a lot of the saltines feel. So I just thought that was very, 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 very interesting. And so transiting Neptune, and I also did mention this in my former video on the astrology of January 2021. Feel free to check that out if you haven't already. But, Neptune squaring the nodes is definitely, just throughout the year in general, is going to really have us like going for a loop, because it's going to result in a lot of propaganda. It's going to result in a lot of, once again, chaos and confusion, as well as the internalization of other people's ideas. Fostering even more collective thought, or breeding even more collective thought. A lot of people are going to be deranged or appear deranged. There could be a lot of mental illness prevalent. And I'm going to be real, looking at that crowd, everybody who was storming that office, if they wasn't physically handicapped, okay, because we saw a couple people with no legs, no arms, okay. How are you marching for freedom and you don't have any legs to march? I'm not being ableist, I know y'all, a lot of y'all be sensitive, but I just had questions like, how you that angry? I don't know, whatever. But anyway, so yeah, but a lot of them very much were giving me like not all the way there kind of team, mental health kind of team. So, there's that. Lots of confusion and lies being spread. And you're going to see a lot of false prophets, y'all. A lot of people who, whether it's like in the spiritual community, but even in the political arena, especially with Neptune squaring that Sagittarius South node, where it's like people are going to in the political arena, kind of position themselves as the answer, the solution, right? And also that it was kind of interesting because, Donald Trump is a Sagittarius moon. So, I haven't looked at how these transits would impact him just because I don't have the time. But I just thought that was very interesting. And then because you had all these people, really rallying in his honor, in his defense. So I'm going to take a break and look into the chat for a second and see what y'all talking about. And then we'll move right along. Unless y'all have something else y'all want to contribute. I've been staying off social media because it's mentally draining, and I'm happy you are. That's actually a really good idea. They was out here acting like some nakers. Heck no. 9th house, stellium in Aquarius. series finale of the United States. I mean, once again, this Aquarius era or Aquarian era is definitely going to yield a lot of anarchy, and it's just going to be a lot of. I mean, this is the time where a lot of the backdrop of this country is going to have to, it's a reckoning period, and honestly, I don't think it's all the way bad. I mean, of course, there's good and bad with anything, but then again, I'm also biased because I got my Saturn in the 4th house of Aquarius, and I strongly believe, like in a past life, I was also an Aquarius as well, because I'm a draconic Aquarius or draconic Aquarius, whatever you want to call it. And so I like it. I would love to see this country burn to the ground. Nothing would make me happier. So people were stressing and crying and oh, I'm afraid. What does this mean for Black people? What we gonna do? The same shit we've been doing. What you mean what we gonna do? Exactly what we've been doing, sweetie. Underlying Hitler energy going on. And I'm so glad that you mentioned Hitler, because Hitler, hold on, let me pull up his chart, because he had some things that were very parallel to the current or the transiting planets at the moment. It was a very similar energy signature that I wanted to point out. And I thought about even, preparing it for this live, but then I just kind of forgot about it. But I'm glad you said that, because it reminded me. And if you guys are just now joining, I need you to hit that thumbs up button. Welcome, welcome. Oh, because he has something going on. I'm trying to see. I mean, Hitler clearly had a lot going on, but it was something in his chart that was like, that's what it was. So he had his Pluto, his natal Pluto, at the 4th degree of Gemini. And of course, that was like a generational kind of thing. So damn near everybody around the era had their Pluto in Gemini. But it seems to have been conjunct Neptune. And the whole combination of, even when we talk about transiting Neptune, squaring that Gemini North Node, right? It creates this theme to where people can become drunk. Look at that Neptune energy in terms of like people becoming drunk off of either like indoctrination. That could also be Sagittarius energy. But even when it comes to like that Gemini energy, like other people's thoughts and ideas and, being drunk off of propaganda from the media. Because even when you think about the right wingers, a lot of them, I mean, a lot of us in general, and that's why I said it's honestly something that everybody does, Democrats too. And I think because I don't subscribe to either political system, I can see it, but everybody kind of does this confirmation bias thing where we just have the tendency to listen to, we like peanut galleries, we like echo chambers, so we latch on to, especially if you're like a conspiracy theorist type of individual, which is also very Sagittarius South Node. People can get so caught up in conspiracy, so drunk off of conspiracy, so drunk off of, latching on to whatever their media outlet of choice is, and just internalizing the rhetoric to the point where they take it, they run with it. And, the behavior can be very irrational. People are just all over the place. Like I said, chaos and confusion. Chaos and confusion. I know this is serious, but I'm laughing. You're not in America right now, though, are you? You're not even here. So if I wasn't here, I mean, honestly, I'm here, and I don't know. I'm not moved by it. It just is what it is. They acting like that man wasn't trying to snatch the Section 8 food stamps from under it. Oh. Sinistry reading on Trump and Hitler. in terms of comparing their similarities. Maybe I will do like a little compare contrast. That sounds like something for Patreon. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into this Saturn, Jupiter, and Aquarius conjunction. And starting with the first house. So when we talk about our Aquarius ascendant brethren, you guys could be experiencing a lot of shifts in terms to your personality, okay? Or maybe even appearance during this time. There could be a need to, drastically alter the way that you look. But more importantly, these are times that over the next few years, you'll start to experience, if you haven't already, situations where alienation is going to be a very dominant theme in your life. And there's going to be an increased kind of like need for you to be true to yourself, even if it does lead you to be on the outs with people. This is going to be a time period where you may not want to necessarily take on long-term commitments. And you may be in a situation where you're more prone to getting into disagreements with others, right? Having lots of conflicts of interest with other people, especially friends. And, just coming from a space of not really wanting to accommodate to other people. People may view you as very willful and unreasonable for that reason. There could also be a desire to want to experience something new. And this could also even deal with like just wanting to surround yourself with different people as well. But tying back into that theme for, the tendency and the inclination for these people to have major conflict of interest, there could also be instances of like disloyalty. In terms of you, these are people who during this time may want to move from a space of like what's more convenient for them or what's more expedient to them. And that could also put you in a position where you either make some enemies or, you could fall out with a lot of people, or maybe once again, you find yourself in a situation where you're alienating yourself from other people. Or, these people could want to use other people for their convenience during this time. There could also be a tendency to subscribe to groupthink, and just the whole idea of looking to immerse oneself in friendships in groups, which I mean is cool until it ain't. So you want to kind of be mindful of that, right? Now, Aquarius second house individuals. During this time, you will experience issues with, or just lots of ups and downs, I should say, because there could be a good side to this. There's typically always good and bad and everything. But lots of highs and lows when it comes to your income, your stream of income. So, maybe unexpected job opportunities, unexpected, coming into a lot of money, unexpected money, whether it's like people giving you gifts, so on and so forth. But then also experiencing extreme interruptions to that income as well. So that can come in the form of job loss. It can come in the form of even having like mishaps with your possessions. So I find a lot of these people can experience, especially during this particular transit, are going to experience things where like maybe a lot of your stuff comes up broken, missing, right? Especially if we're talking about like your electronics. So that's just something to be mindful of. There could also be a tendency during this time period to be very dissatisfied with the way in which you spend your money, or like the things that you normally spend your money on may not meet your standards, to which could lead a lot of you guys to do a lot of things like, demanding refunds, demanding to be compensated, and so on and so forth. A lot of people may be dissatisfied with a lot of the purchases that they make around this time. Excuse me. So that's important to keep in mind. These are also people who could, very similar to Aquarius ascendants, experience a drastic change to their style. Okay, you can even experience a drastic change in regards to the things that you like, your taste, Now, Aquarius third house individuals, there is going to be a hyper, I guess you could say, focus or an increased importance on seeking and speaking the truth. You guys are going to be a lot more unapologetic or maybe insensitive than usual. And, you know, a lot of these people are naturally the type of individuals, especially depending on if you already have like natal planets here, where they could just be very nonchalant or just kind of, you know, even very crass and insensitive and just have a lack of regard towards what other people are feeling. And those tendencies could definitely ramp up. So as a result, you might find yourself in a lot of sticky situations because of your mouth. Yeah, so you want to be mindful of that. It also during this time is very easy to subscribe to group thought. And like I said, that is just going to be like a general kind of manifestation that we will see play out during this era. A lot of people trending towards group thought, which can actually create lots of followers, because that's very interesting. Because I mean, even considering a lot of people usually describe Aquarius as like, oh, the rebel, the individual, independent, which it can be. The flip side of that energy is literally like a follower. Like I'm just kind of connecting to whatever is around me because I'm identifying with the collective. So that's an important distinction to make, I should say. Also, when we're talking Aquarius third house individuals, these are people who during this time could be very sensitive to the collective energy. And because of this, they want to be very prudent when guarding their conscious thoughts, because Aquarius in the third house, especially if we're talking about this conjunction in the third house, will bring about like almost like an increased level of like manifestation power. You know, these are people who naturally have perfected the law of attraction. They can draw whatever they think about into their lives for better or for worse. And so, you know, if they're engaging in behavior and they're not very conscientious of the behavior that they're engaging in, or even their thoughts, the things that they say, that karma is definitely going to come back and whoop that ass. So you might want to, you know, make the best use of your time and your mind, right? By actively deciding to focus on the things that you do want. You'll fare a lot better that way. Now, Aquarius fourth house individuals, expect to experience abrupt changes in your living arrangement or your domestic life, your home life. So this could also look like, you know, people moving, experiencing problems, like even technical issues with the house. So let's say if you are a renter or like an apartment or a home renter, maybe you have to put in some, what do you call them? Those submissions when something breaks down around the house, like some tickets or something like that, right? To some repair tickets. Especially when it comes to like electrical appliances or like the wiring in the house, different things could kind of short circuit. You could also be extremely sensitive to a lot of like the radiation that's going on in the home, especially if you have microwaves and all of that good stuff. So actually, if this conjunction is passing through your fourth house, do yourself a favor and either get rid of your microwaves or make sure you're using them, like, you know, you're not using them often to like prepare and heat your meals. Okay. You might want to start actually cooking. And I know with that Aquarian energy, it's all about convenience. It's all about, once again, what's expedient at the time. But, you know, you might just have to go ahead and eat that one. Also, this could look like challenges with roommates, especially like if you live with friends. So there could be something that arises that definitely throws off the flow of the household, the peace that disturbs the peace in the household. And even when it comes to like realizing the truth about people, the people in your life, especially the people who you maybe have always deemed to be close to. Now, very similar to Aquarius third house individuals, if you have this conjunction transiting your fourth house of Aquarius, the law of attraction is definitely going to kind of lean in your favor. But once again, it could be for better or for worse, right? Because, you think good things, you attract good things. You think bad things, you attract bad things. But for these people, they need to monitor and do a better job at taking inventory of their subconscious thoughts. And actually, I would say that's a lot more difficult. So fourth house individuals actually have their work cut out for them a lot more than the third house Aquarians, just because I think what is the saying that your mind is 10%, like your conscious mind only occupies 10% of your mind, of your brain. The other 90% is straight up subconscious. So that requires a lot of introspection, a lot of self-awareness, which, people may or may not have these days. I mean, honestly, a lot of people don't. So, but on the more positive end, being aware and being conscientious of these things during this period, okay, could definitely help you manifest and create some really good things in your life. So that's pretty bomb. Now, these are also people who could experience some like picky or quirky eating habits over the next few years. Expect to experience maybe digestive issues with the stomach. So there's that. Okay. So there's that. Now, your intuition could also even increase significantly with this conjunction transiting the fourth house. These are people who can experience emotions, like emotional knee-jerk reactions that are very shocking to them or to others. They can be easily triggered. These are people who may even find themselves on social media a lot. And if you are someone who has a lot of business on social media, let's say if you are a social media influencer, but not even just social media, like let's say you have your own business like online, or let's say you're a web designer or like a programmer of some sort, a tech guy or girl, your business could actually increase. Your online visibility could increase and your clientele could increase during this time. So that's actually like really good. Okay. Also, I would be mindful of acting in ways in which you're overexposing yourself. You want to kind of make sure you practice the art of privacy, knowing when to keep certain things to yourself versus when to be a lot more open and revealing. Now, as we talk about Aquarius in the fifth house, this conjunction, if it's transiting through your fifth house, a lot of these people may not be getting no booty, okay, during this time. You may be sexually repressed during this time, okay? You could be feeling like just a genuine disinterest in sex and sexual activity. Or, maybe these are people who can find themselves kind of frustrated because let's say they're not repressed, but especially if you're dating or if you're in a relationship, you could be dealing with a partner or somebody who may not be able to, help meet your needs like that. But for my single individuals with Aquarius in the fifth house, there could be some difficulty really trying to attract people into your life who are available. And this could be emotionally available, but this could also be like on a literal level. So, the tendency to attract people who only want to be friends or people who are already in relationships could be rather high. If you have children, you could experience issues like disciplinary issues with your children during this time period. Also, for those of y'all who may not be as sexually repressed, you may feel a lot more compelled to experiment with with your not necessarily your sexuality, although it could be your sexuality for some people, I guess, but experiment with different ways in which you meet your own sexual needs. So a solution or a way that you could look at this is like, let's say if you are in a relationship and you're not getting your needs met sexually, or let's say if you're single and you're still not getting your needs met sexually, maybe you want to invest in some vibrators or some toys. You know what I mean? So there's that. Sixth house, Aquarians, your health could be afflicted during this time, specifically your nervous system. You could also have a desire for change of scenery, as well as breaking routine. Okay. And also very similar to second house and 10th house Aquarians, there could be some, major come to moments, breakthrough moments in terms of like your job. Seventh house, Aquarius, seventh house individuals, there could be separations, breakups, dissolutions of relationships, or like finding new magnetic attractions. But, with that Saturn influence there, I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all are going to have to go through some shit before you kind of get to the better experience of that conjunction. So, for example, like people, like if you're in a relationship right now, and this could even be friendships actually, where the relationship isn't built upon like a mutual respect for one another, or a mutual respect and a certain level of tolerance for each other's and your thoughts, your way of life, and your own independence, the relationship is definitely going to fold. It's going to fold. So that's something to keep in mind. Aquarius, 8th house individuals, you could experience things outside of your control that can change the entire course of your life. So major faded events. This could also manifest in unexpected debt, situations where you're going to have to shell out cash. A really good example of this is like if you're one of those people who sign up to those subscriptions, right? Those free subscriptions, like, oh yeah. They said 7 days. I can get, whatever, 7 days free. On that 8th day, they charge you, right? And you like, damn. And you thought you had enough money for lunch, right? Your lunch was $10. The subscription was $9.99. Your card declines, okay? And you're like, oh, like that kind of thing. So you want to be mindful, okay? Also, this could even create situations where you may manifest and attract a lot of people into your life who are going to need you for a lot of stuff, or where you could be very reliant on other people for a lot of stuff. And I mean, it could be for better, but it could be for worse as well. Now, 9th house Aquarians, this conjunction could definitely leave you questioning a lot of your beliefs. Okay, a lot of you guys are also going to experience a radical shift in what you subscribe to, and may even feel compelled to surround yourselves with other people who either share your beliefs or to really do a lot more. I guess you could say, like, these are people who may feel compelled to be a lot more explorative, and want to be around other people who are just as explorative in their beliefs as well. These people could have some really big like light bulb moments, like, and it doesn't just necessarily have to be spiritual beliefs or like religious beliefs. I mean, it could be whatever, where you just kind of stop, or maybe like a very shocking truth is revealed to you, like a something that happens that really just has you questioning like life. You know what I mean? Also, you may feel compelled to get behind a cause that's greater than yourself, or do something that's greater than yourself. I've also seen or discovered that this could also even produce accidents. Okay, so yeah, be careful. Aquarius 10th house individuals, very similar to that 6th and 2nd house Aquarius placement. This conjunction could bring about sudden or even drastic career changes, or maybe, something that inspires you to seek more freedom. I've also seen this deal with where there could be a clash with authority. So even if, outside of the workplace, actually, if you're somebody who, if you may be one of my younger subbies, and let's say you live at home, or maybe you interact with your family a lot, this is another one of those transits that could actually even have an impact on your standing with your family, specifically with the dominant parent. So there could be a lot of like tension, mounting tension, a lot of headbutting, a lot of just a desire to go against the grain and do what you want to do, right? So there's that. The 11th house, of course, which is home to Aquarius, right? So a lot of the quintessential themes, right, involving that Saturn conjunct Jupiter in Aquarius could play out for these individuals. So once again, lots of karma and friendships, lots of issues with your friends, lots of issues in regards to maybe even even work. This could be another one of those placements that can create issues with work, issues with technology, issues with entitlement, whether, you feeling entitled to certain things. These are people who can attract a lot of unearned income as well, but they could experience a lot of lapse or certain difficulties that come with that. You know what I mean? Or a lot of people could feel very entitled to certain things that they have going on. So, that's something to be mindful of. And then finally, Aquarians, people with Aquarius in the 12th house, this transit is really going to be taxing on y'all because, like, it's really going to highlight the fact that y'all don't have no common sense. And it's like really operating out of that energy is going to cost you a lot. So not being pragmatic, not once again, even like when these people go out of their way to evade the truth, or when they go out of their way to even lie, it's not going to be worth it. If they go out of their way to even because a lot of these people could have issues with being and living and functioning in their true authentic selves, rather. So anytime they kind of act in accordance to that, you might find that you shoot yourself in the foot, or things don't really go as planned. Or like I said, if you're just not operating from a space where you're being alert and attentive and really in tune with like what you do and why you do it, or even the people around you for that matter, you're going to pay for it. You need common sense. They may be very also just spiritually impacted by this transit as well, which can spark like a lot of like creative, I guess you could say, progression, right? So these people may feel inspired to create and to do, and but and they may be taking very significant strides, like if they are on a spiritual journey or something like that. But in real life, in real time, yeah, about that. So, and they could also experience issues with their ankles and feet, like the circulation in their ankles and feet during this time. So it wouldn't be uncommon for these people to like twist their ankles or something during this transit. So y'all need to be mindful. And that's that. So I'm going to take a look at the chat. I feel like I aged 3 years during quarantine. What? Girl. You want to have a baby soon. You haven't had your first child. I'm already noticing this. But if everybody's going through that this year, it's going to be rough. Why is social media on the decline if we're entering in that? Well, I'm not going to say social media is on the decline. Social media is not on the decline. But I will say the way in which we use social media and what social media is going to be utilized for, like the role that social media plays in the grand scheme of things, is going to shift. Given that, not only that we're in the age of Aquarius, but because of this Saturn and Jupiter conjunction, like, especially when it conjuncts Mercury as well, because I believe Mercury is on its way into Aquarius. So, and squaring Uranus and Taurus, basically you're going to have a lot of like government violation, like kind of like what we're experiencing now. It's going to be a lot of censorship. It's going to get to the point where, like, if the higher ups, if the government can't really capitalize off of it, they don't really see the need for it. And it's going to always set up in a way where it's going to work towards their favor. So lots of spying, which has already been happening, right? Spying on your data, picking up information, invading your privacy, violating your rights. But also changing the rules, setting new standards and terms as to who can say what and who can do what. And I mean, it's gonna get real dark, guys. You could also look or I guess you could say look forward to, maybe, although maybe we're not gonna look forward to it, but you can expect, should I say, like artificial intelligence and all that other stuff to be on the rise. And so it's gonna get real. It's gonna get really gully in a second. So I hope y'all ready. I hope y'all's ready. And that's good. Patricia, you've been working on your weight to maintain a healthy body and mind. Third house Aquarius placements. Yep. That's right, Frozen Fire. I already did 7th house, Maya. Yeah, of course, using it as an excuse to restrict social media. So I didn't want to make this video too long because I really ain't got that much to talk about, for real. But I did want to hop on here and give y'all that. So I hope y'all take care, and I will talk to y'all soon.